You guys are my extended family. I appreciate each and every one of you. That's why I want to let you know that my greatest hero the one man who I had the strongest bond with that you can not imagine, my dad, İsmet Cerizaks Jamaili, passed away today. In the morning, 7:45 a.m., the hospital called to let us know that he went on to be with the Lord. And it's not Parkinson's disease that he suffered one that took him. It was Jesus that took him. I went through, and I'm still going through, crazy emotions. And you maybe hear the rain. It's gonna sound a little bit noisy, but it's a little bit, it's fitting. Currently I'm composed and I try to keep it that way because there's two reasons why I want to share the story with you. Now, first of all, I want to maybe raise awareness of Parkinson's disease to a certain extent, and second of all, I have a personal message that I think maybe some of you need to hear. He passed away in a very close circle, in his family circle. He was a family man. He gave everything for us. And I understand that God was jealous because he said, hey, you've had this servant with such a big heart, with so much love, the perfect example of what Christ was when he walked the earth. You've had him with you for 84 years, and now it's time I take him home. Maybe 1.5 weeks ago, we took him to the hospital because he had an infection. And he recovered. We were able to take him home. And then his situation went downhill fast. It was crazy to witness. The roller coaster of emotion, my body, my physical, everything is in turmoil. My heart's been shredded and ripped into pieces. Every single muscle fiber in my body and every living tissue is aching, is crying out. Because I miss him. I miss him so much. He was the ultimate example of love. And that roller coaster of emotion is probably also due to the fact that my mentor, Steve Carter, just passed away a couple of weeks or maybe 2 weeks ago. And right around that time, my dad was feeling unwell. And so that roller coaster of emotion was crazy, because when we took him home, everything was great, but not perfect. But he recovered good. But the doc let us know that, hey, he's in the final stage of Parkinson's disease, and it might be that he gets another lung infection and then you'll come back, and this might turn into a hamster wheel. So maybe you have to prepare yourself that it might be that he's going to pass away soon. And so when we took him home, and everything went downhill. First it went back up, and there's one particular story where we were eating with the family, and he looked at my mother and said, and you have to imagine his speech was slurred, broken. He speaks a couple of languages, his mother tongue, and German is not his native tongue, so it went back and forth, and sometimes you didn't understand anything. So, but he mustered up all of his strength to tell my mother. He looked her in the eyes and said, "You are the most beautiful woman. I'm so glad I can call you mine." You're the best wife I could ever imagine. And he said it. I felt this really took a lot of strength. And we've thought, hey, he's doing great again. And we are a very close-knit family. We huddle around. We're like a pack of wolves. If something's going down, everybody jumps on it. And we protect ourselves, and we stick together like glue. And so everybody visited him on a daily basis. We were there. And then from then, it was last Sunday, it went downhill. And I saw him on Tuesday evening, and I thought, he just it was a little bit up and down, but he felt good. And so I thought, maybe the next day he'll be all right again. So the next day, my mother called and said he's in the hospital. Now, I don't want to make this too long. My dad means the world to me. He lives on. And he brought the ultimate sacrifice. He did everything for us. And he's the perfect role model, my superhero, my everything. Even though he's now not present in the physical, I know he's present in the spiritual. He can look down. And they say there's no more tears in heaven. So I'm just guessing he looks down, but I know my dad, his family means the world to him, so it might be that there is a tear rolling down his cheek. And an angel of Jesus sitting next to him, wiping away his tears, saying, "It's gonna be all right. Your kids are gonna take care of themselves." And I promised my dad, I told him, "Dad, I'm gonna protect my mom and the family. Don't worry. I'm now taking over." And I told you the last time, maybe you remember, as a son, if you have the confirmation and validation of your dad, you are equipped with a superpower. I don't care about kettlebells. I don't care about what nobody says. I don't care about the success, the money, what we've built, the legacy. Nothing. It all just turns to dust when you lose your one person that means the world to you. It's nothing. It's nothing. I would trade it all if I could spend one more day with my dad. So let me stay as composed as possible. So one of the reasons why I'm making this video is I want to let you know and spread a little bit of awareness of Parkinson's disease. And you have to imagine what Parkinson's disease is like. Imagine you are, before I talk about the stages, they're not, some say it's 5, 6, or 7 stages. Here I have 5, but I want to give you a clear picture to understand what Parkinson's disease is like. It is, you have to imagine it's like every day you pass this beautiful picture. And that picture is so beautiful and so wonderfully made that you always look at it and something strikes you because it's beautiful. And every time you look at it, you see another part of the image that maybe you didn't see before because you didn't have the eye or you never paid close attention. But every time you look at that image, you find something beautiful in every corner and in the center at the top. You see beauty in the image, and every time you pass it, it just strikes you. And so the weeks and the months go by, and all of a sudden you realize that at the corner of the picture something's a little bit broken, but you don't really pay attention to it because you think, well, you don't even see it, you don't even notice it, but something's off. But it's so subtle that you don't see it. And then the weeks, the months, they pass by, and all of a sudden you see a big chunk of the image at the top, or maybe in the corner, that it's just fallen off, and you see a little fungus that's building on that part of the wall, and you might think, hey, maybe we need some restoration, because now you notice it, but it's still very subtle and very small, but big enough for you to notice. And as the weeks and the months pass by, you see that all of a sudden the beauty of the image is fading to an extent where you feel, wow, what happened? And now it's even more recognizable, and you see that fungus that overgrows the image on certain spots. It's not overblown yet, but it's definitely noticeable. And as the weeks and the months go by, you walk past the image and you see big chunks of the image ripped apart. And now the moment comes where you have to check images that you took of the picture to see, is that still that picture? And you look at it and you think, wow, I still recognize it, but wow, it's lost its beauty, and that fungus keeps growing from all edges. And as the weeks and the months go by, you all of a sudden recognize that that fungus is overgrown to an extent where the image is almost unrecognizable. So you remember all these days when you passed that image and you looked at it and it was so beautiful, and you said, wow, this is incredible. And now it's breaking apart, and the final day comes when you walk by and the image is not there anymore, and the fungus is completely taken over, and everybody else who's passing that part of the street or whatever, or the block or whatever that may be, nobody can recognize that there was an image, but you know it. But the fungus has completely destroyed the image to an extent where it's completely unrecognizable. This is what Parkinson's disease is. It takes over your brain, and with great medication and the help from great physicians here in Switzerland, I'm so grateful. We're so privileged, man. You can counter the effects and the symptoms, but it gets to a point where it's impossible to do it, where the medication, where the Parkinson's disease even eats up the medication. Then you have to dial it up, and then you have to be careful, because if you give too much of the medicine, then hallucinations occur. So let me tell you about the stages of stage 1. During this stage, the person has mild symptoms that generally do not interfere with daily activities. Tremor and other movement symptoms occur on one side of the body only. Changes in posture, walking, and facial expressions occur. So the posture was something that was recognized by somebody who's familiar with Parkinson's disease. Stage 2, symptoms start getting worse. He didn't have a big tremor, but it was visible. Rigidity and other movement symptoms affect both sides of the body or the midline, such as the neck and the trunk. Walking problems and poor posture may be apparent. The person is able to live alone, but daily tasks are more difficult and lengthier. Stage 3, considered mid-stage, loss of balance, unsteadiness as the person turns. When she is pushed from standing is the hallmark. Falls are more common. Motor symptoms continue to worsen. Functionally, the person is somewhat restricted in their activities now, but it's still physically capable of leading an independent life. Disability is mild to moderate at this stage. Stage 4, at this point, symptoms are fully developed and severely disabling. The person is still able to walk and stand without assistance, but may need to ambulate with a cane walker for safety. I know that was tough for my mother to accept it, that he had to use a cane or a walker. The person needs significant help with activities of daily living and is unable to live alone. In stage 5, this is the most advanced and debilitating stage. Stiffness in the legs may make it impossible to stand or walk. The person is bedridden or confined to a wheelchair unless aided. Around-the-clock care is required for all activities. And this was exactly the point how it was with my dad. It was really painful. And sad to see. What they don't mention is, I think it depends on the type that you have, but losing the ability to talk, to speak. And then he couldn't communicate what he felt. This was very painful. And the reason why he died now is because he lost the ability to swallow. And the infection came back. And so every day we visited him in the hospital. And I was there every night. Twice a day. And every time I walked in, I said, "Hey, Dad, I love you. You mean the world to me." I told him about my plans, about the future, what I want to do. And yes, and I even fell asleep when I was with him at night. And yesterday I left, I said, "I'll see you tomorrow, Dad." And yes, I saw him tomorrow, but... And there was this one moment where he opened up his eyes, but you saw that the sight was broken, so the eyes they're open, but you know that he can't see you. But I knew he could see me, and I could talk to him, and I knew that he heard me. And so, sorry for fidgeting around, but I have to somehow get rid of these emotions. It's the roller coaster, man. When I started filming, I felt composed, and I'll completely break apart and fall apart. I don't want to make this video too long because I have one important message at the end of this video. But when he looked at me, I knew it's probably, I told him, I cried, and I said, "Thanks so much, Dad, that I can see your eyes, those beautiful eyes for the last time." This was so... The eyes didn't move, it just opened up, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. You just look at him. I said, "Dad, I'm here. I'm your son. I'm here. We're here for you." But I was able to talk to him because when I was with him on Tuesday night, where he had a similar look, he was so broken, and it was so odd. I thought it's just a bad day. It's gonna get better. But when he opened up the eyes at the hospital bed, his dying bed, he looked at me differently. And so we're at the end of this video. I don't want to make it too personal because I want to keep personal stuff to myself unless it is something that I believe can maybe empower you or change change your outlook on life. And it's not just the physical. You know, we focus on the physical on this channel, but the spiritual, let me tell you, man, today I would trade in every single thing that I have. I would trade in everything if I could have one another moment with him. So now let me tell you, if you have a dad and you have the ability to talk to him, cherish every moment. And with cherish, I mean try to really edge it and burn it into your memory, because the moment my dad was fully conscious, that's such a distant memory that I have such a hard time remembering it. The only thing that I see now is the way my dad is or was in the final stage of this disease. So talk to him every day, let him know that you love him. And I know, yes, there might be relationships where it is broken to a certain extent, but then this is where my faith comes in. This is what my mom told me. This is how my dad raised me. Even you do things for other people, even if you think they don't deserve it. At the end of the day, the Bible says we should honor mother and father so we can live long. And I don't even care about the live long part. It's just all about honoring those who gave you a possibility to enter this life. And even if this relationship is broken, I know must be very painful if you don't have the bond that I had with a dad. This makes me cry even more, because you weren't able to experience that love and strong relationship between son and the dad. And I'm sure it's the same with the daughter, but I want to speak from my experience. So tell them that you love them, be there for them, and when they have a hard time, show them as much love as possible, because God can see it. And maybe, just maybe, you are in a situation right now where you have a very broken relationship with your dad, and maybe he's physically unwell. And there's that one little thought that crossed my mind, and that is, people can change over the course of life, and especially when we don't feel good and when we're broken, we change and our emotions take the better of us. This situation with my dad was such a humbling experience. It really took my heart, and it completely, it molded it, it softened it, gave me a specific perspective on life that I have to focus on. Because let me tell you, one part of this grieving phase wants to throw everything away and run away. But this is not what my dad would want. And the other part of the grieving phase is that you want to continue building the legacy that your father gave you a possibility to even engage in it. And so it might be that you have a very bad relationship with your dad, but it might be that he's physically unwell. Even if it's your mother, that's the same. You know, it drives me crazy to know that I have to do this one more time with my mom. I don't even want to think about it. But building the strength necessary, right? This is why we train. This is why we build this thing, because we don't just train the physical, we also train the mental, spiritual. And this equips you with the strength that you need then to push through these hard times, because hard times and suffering creates perseverance, which creates hope, and which creates character, especially hope in Christ. And let me tell you, if I didn't have that hope, I'd be lost. That's why I want to tell you, man, the spiritual is just as important. Make sure you study and consider what Christ has done for you, and then maybe change your ways accordingly. This is something that I did, and it has elevated my life to an extent, because this was given to me by my dad and my mom. But like I said, if you have this situation with your dad where you recognize, all right, he's physically unwell, people can change in those situations. And it might be that your dad is just too weak, or your mother is just too weak to tell you that they need you right now. And so you want to maybe take this attempt. If this video was able to move you, then maybe take the attempt to reach out to your mom and dad, tell them that you love them, even if they don't say nothing back, or maybe they are very unwell. Just let them know and try to build that bond, because there's a healing part about it where you can just accompany your parents into the other realm. And so a couple of people have reached out and told me, Gregory, I regret every second that I didn't have with my dad when he passed away. So thankfully, that's something that I don't ever have to regret. I just have to regret that all the things that I'm going to do in the future are things that his physical will not see it, but the spiritual side will. So this video took way longer than I wanted it to. I love you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. The legacy that I was able to build right here was because my dad empowered me to do it. He witnessed everything. He witnessed how we were able to change lives, and how I was able to turn my life around. I was able to make him proud, and he was proud of me even back when I was a stupid young dude, and he saw my transformation, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Reach out to mom and dad and tell them you love them and help them if they need it.